Sri Lanka. A realm of venerable sanctuaries, a territory of verdant tea estates, a domain of aromatic spices and natural diversity. A delicate vapor ascends above age-old remnants. A leopard traverses the wilderness in silence. Ocean waters embrace shores of amber sand. Tea foliage sways in the highland breeze. Welcome to Sri Lanka. Welcome to an island shaped like a teardrop, descended into the Indian Ocean. Formerly known as Ceylon, this is a location where temporal flow follows the cadence of twin monsoon seasons, where Asian elephants wander through tea cultivation areas, where Earth's most exquisite cinnamon flourishes naturally along the shoreline. But let us commence from the origin. Sri Lanka extends to India's southeast, divided from the continental landmass solely by the Palk Strait. Bearing the designation Ceylon until 1972, this appellation still echoes globally today, though exclusively through the foliage of its valued tea. The island represents a microcosm of marvels, concentrated within relatively limited dimensions. In this environment, populations move whose diversity mirrors that of the encompassing wilderness. Sinhalese Buddhists and Tamil Hindus occupy the island with Muslim and Christian minorities, generating a cultural amalgamation of uncommon intricacy and magnificence. Buddhism, which arrived here in the 3rd century BC, discovered fertile territory, so extensively that presently the Temple of the Sacred Tooth in Kandy accommodates one of the most revered relics globally. Sri Lanka, consequently, represents substantially more than a mere island. It constitutes an entire cosmos, a location that perpetually narrates its millennia-old chronicle to anyone possessing vision to perceive and spirit to experience. But presently, let us explore the most remarkable locations in this nation. Sigiriya. In Sri Lanka's core stands a monument that challenges human comprehension, with its commanding presence upon the surrounding flatland. Archaeologists persistently question how, in the 5th century, monarch Kasyapa succeeded in converting this volcanic stone into an impenetrable stronghold and a majestic residence. Visitors currently follow the identical route as the residents of that epoch, ascending the 1,200 steps that conduct to the summit, through gardens that formerly hosted water features and reservoirs. The stone surfaces preserve the murals of the Sigiriya maidens, evidence of an artistic tradition that has resisted temporal passage, notwithstanding exposure to environmental elements. The remnants of the royal chambers at the apex, conversely, recount narratives of conspiracy and authority, while the vision becomes lost in the verdant horizon of the wilderness, which encompasses the location. Certainly, the chronicle of Kasyap's patricide and his pursuit of an unconquerable sanctuary still reverberates among these stones, connecting the present with the distant yet palpable past. Nuwara Eliya. The highlands ascend toward the firmament, in this territory designated Little England. The appellation wasn't assigned to it by coincidence, but for its colonial chronicle that has deposited a significant imprint in the tea cultivation areas, which furthermore extend beyond visual range. The verdant fields, indeed, generate a natural terrain that transforms shade with the movement of the sun and clouds. Here, the climate delivers cooler temperatures compared to the remainder of the island, permitting the cultivation of vegetables and flowers that wouldn't flourish elsewhere in Sri Lanka. Colonial-style residences, conversely, set the terrain. Finally, there exists Gregory Lake, created in 1873, which provides romantic walks along its shores and the possibility to execute water activities like rowing, becoming a convergence point for residents and tourists. Yala. Among the highlands of Sri Lanka's central province, there exists a village transformed by the passage of the British Railway, constructed to convey tea from cultivation areas to harbors. The Nine Arches Bridge represents the culmination of colonial engineering, being a viaduct of 9 brick and cement arches, constructed without the utilization of steel during World War I. Trains traverse the bridge twice daily, and while the carriages gradually proceed on the tracks, tourists position themselves along the periphery to capture the moment, just preceding continuing the expedition toward Ravana Falls, or undertaking the ascent toward Little Adams Peak. Furthermore, the terrain is characterized by verdant highlands and tea cultivation areas, which extend beyond visual range, generating an enchanting natural setting. Typically, there exists a morning vapor that envelopes the valley, but progressively dissolves, revealing a zone of this nation where the railway perpetually connects populations and locations, as it has accomplished for exceeding a century. Dambulla. In Sri Lanka's core lie the Dambulla Caves, an ancient stone temple that preserves exceeding 2,000 years of Buddhist devotion, reflected not exclusively in its frescoed surfaces, but also in its impressive sculptures and the striking golden temple, which welcomes visitors at the elevation's foundation. The monks selected this location as a sanctuary during an invasion from southern India, converting 5 natural caves into sanctuaries, which presently contain exceeding 150 sculptures of Buddha and Hindu deities. Pilgrims and tourists traverse upward toward the temple entrance, passing beneath the observation of the golden Buddha that supervises from the exterior. Inside the caves, conversely, luminosity filters weakly, illuminating murals that cover ceilings and surfaces, with scenes from Buddha's existence and chronicles of Sinhalese monarchs who contributed to the complex's expansion. The silence is interrupted exclusively by the murmur of prayers and the occasional resonance of bells, generating an atmosphere of contemplation that saturates the entire location. From here, one can also observe the flatland beneath, with a vista of Sigiriya in the distance. Yala National Park. Territory encounters ocean in this preserve, which accommodates one of the highest leopard observation frequencies globally. The territory transforms, passing from zones of compact vegetation to open expanses, where animals congregate around scarce water pools during the arid season. Safari expeditions at daybreak permit observing wildlife in its natural cadence, when predators conclude their nocturnal pursuit and herbivores commence their day. Typically, elephants move in groups through the bushland, communicating with each other through sounds nearly imperceptible to the human auditory system. Marine turtles, conversely, deposit their eggs on deserted shores, perpetuating an ancient existence cycle. And then there exist crocodiles, resting motionless along waterways blending in with timber, until the moment to surge with surprising velocity to capture prey. The biological diversity of Yala narrates the significance of conservation in a world where natural habitats diminish daily. Arugam Bay. The eastern shoreline of Sri Lanka accommodates this arc of sand, where the ocean generates waves that attract surfers from every continent. The cadence of the bay transforms with the seasons, converting from a tranquil sanctuary to a vibrant center, when the wind orientation delivers ideal conditions for riding the waves. The offshore waters provide occasional observations of dolphins, and in fortunate periods, even whales migrating along these shores, while a brief distance away, in Kamana National Park, elephants traverse lagoons and wooded zones, generating a fascinating contrast between the marine environment of the bay and the encompassing terrestrial ecosystem. Furthermore, local communities have developed a symbiotic relationship with this environment, preserving customs that adapt to the cadence of the seasons and to the resources that the ocean provides. Unawatuna Beach. A protected inlet that formerly hosted a prosperous coral reef, presently unfortunately damaged by explosive fishing, coastal erosion, and contamination. The coastal vegetation, although fragmented by urbanization, is still present in some sections, generating small corridors between terrestrial and marine ecosystems. On the elevation overlooking the shore stands the White Buddhist Pagoda, constructed in the 1990s by the Japanese Buddhist community as component of a peace initiative, providing a panoramic vantage point from which to admire the entire bay. Another significant factor of this location are the local currents, which convey coral larvae and alternative species, contributing to the maintenance of biodiversity and genetic connectivity among encompassing marine populations. Unfortunately, in recent years, both the corals and the coastal woodland have been declining due to global warming, marine contamination, and unsustainable tourism development. Galle. The waves of the Indian Ocean break against the centuries-old fortifications of this citadel, constructed by Portuguese colonizers and perfected by the Dutch. The stone thoroughfares recall the chronicles of merchants, explorers, and residents who have molded the civilization of this location. And then there exists the lighthouse, which ascends above the sea, still directing vessels toward the harbor. The residents move among structures that blend European and Asian architectural styles, generating a distinctive urban terrain on the island, while the fortress survives as a witness to past epochs. Indeed, it was designated a UNESCO World Heritage Location in 1988 and represents the largest European colonial complex still intact in Asia, with its mighty fortifications that have resisted tsunamis and conflicts. Concluding this visual journey through Sri Lanka, we've traversed far more than just a map. We've stepped into a living tapestry of history, culture, and nature. From the mystique of ancient sanctuaries and timeless villages to the pulse of vibrant cities and the awe-inspiring beauty of its landscapes, every frame has revealed a new layer of this extraordinary island. This was not only a journey through places, but through stories, wonders, and hidden curiosities that make every corner of Sri Lanka truly unique. We hope these visuals and narratives have not only deepened your understanding, but also awakened a sense of wonder, and perhaps a desire to witness its breathtaking beauty with your own eyes. Sri Lanka is not just a destination, it is an experience that stays with you long after the journey ends.